Hey there and happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and here's what we're tracking for you this morning. We've been saying it all week, but the rain is about to arrive for portions of the western United States into the weekend. First alert and weather impact days have been issued. We'll have your forecast on everything you need to know so you can prepare before the storms hit. Plus, a weather and climate disaster database retired by the Trump administration is back. What it found and damages since it relaunched. And later, the latest drought outlook dropped this morning, what it said and how the rain will impact it in the future. And Washington Bay is one of the most popular spots for a wide variety of sharks. How researchers are working to find out why they keep returning. And once again, we wanted to welcome you to Weather Out West. In case you're just joining us for the first time, this is an hour-long show where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. Today, we're going to kick things off in the Pacific Northwest because the weather is about to turn very sloppy thanks to an incoming atmospheric river. Portland's Chris McGinnis tells us what we can expect.
Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis in for Rod Hill today. The calm before the storm is basically how to describe our Thursday, and what better way to show that than to show you this beautiful time lapse that we had from our Timberline sky camera early this morning with the cloud cover and the lenticular clouds developing over the Central Oregon Cascades. This from Timberline, our camera pointed south towards the Central Oregon Cascades. That's Mount Jefferson prominently in the middle of your screen, and again, just a beautiful start to the day. That's about as much sun as we're going to see, though. The high clouds are already creeping in just a bit. It's 54 last check in the Rose City. As the clouds creep in, the temperatures will inch upward, but a dry day today is my expectation. So increasing clouds with temperatures topping out in the mid to upper 60s in the Willamette Valley. A little warmer as you get east of the Cascades, where I think you folks will hold on to a little bit more sunshine for a few extra hours. But all of us are going to see a transition to some very active weather over the next 24 hours. Today, a mostly cloudy, mild day, and then increasing rain and wind as we go into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And by Sunday, it's going to be pretty chilly as well, which means lowering snow levels in the Cascades. I will show you that in a second. Let's set the table, show you all the players here as high cloud cover begins to work its way ashore here across western Washington and western Oregon. Really high, thin cloud cover initially. So we'll say filtered sunshine to start the day, but the clouds will get thicker and the sun will become more and more difficult to see as we go through the day. And then this plume of moisture, it's impressive. It extends 1,000+ miles across the North Pacific. A nice deep atmospheric river here, the fire hose, if you will take aim on the northwest coast as we go into Friday. So I'll show you that with Futurecast in a second. Clouds already a little thicker, by the way, over the Oregon Cascades now than they were just a few hours ago. All right, cumulative rainfall just to get through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is impressive. We're looking at maybe 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches of rain in the I-5 corridor and maybe double that at the coast. In the higher terrain of the Cascades, initially pretty high, it will be snow. Those snow levels will lower as we go into the day or into the evening on Saturday, and I'll show you that in a second. Not much going on today except for the increasing cloud cover. So I want to fast forward Futurecast to tomorrow because that's when the weather starts getting active. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. The second half of our morning commute, the tail end is going to start to get wet here. And mid-morning is looking like a very wet go of it here in Portland. From about 8 to 4 is the target for, I think, some of the heaviest rain. That first batch of rain moves out overnight Friday, quickly replaced by another developing storm system offshore. And then we're just going to get peppered with repeating rounds of rain or showers, sometimes heavy showers, and some gusty wind as well. Let me show you the wind as we go into Friday morning. As that front comes on through tomorrow morning, we could feel 30+ mile an hour wind gusts in parts of the Willamette Valley. A reprieve overnight, and then the wind ratchets up again out of the south on Saturday afternoon, maybe 35-40 miles an hour in some cases. So a windy, wet go of it this weekend, and eventually, as the air mass really cools off, the snow levels will lower down to as low as 3,500 feet on Saturday night. So that means anyone traveling over the Cascade Passes, you need to be prepared for wintry travel as we go into that time frame. There's our forecast with the KGW Weather Impact Alert days for Friday and Saturday, on and off wet then for next week.
Now to the Oregon coast, where thousands of skin-breathing sea cucumbers have been washing up in Seaside. The Seaside Aquarium says heavy seas and low tides have uprooted the animals. You see them right there. Normally, they're nestled down in the sand, but rough ocean conditions can dislodge them and leave them stranded. It's typical to see some on the beach, but experts say not this many. And with that incoming atmospheric river and some pretty rough seas, that could happen once again. Now let's take you to Seattle, because that atmospheric river is going to impact them as well. Rounds of heavy rain, gusty winds, and mountain snow set to impact western Washington over the weekend. Here's Seattle's Rich Marriott with the details.
Hi, I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and we've got a quiet weather day headed away around Puget Sound. A little weak warm front that's going primarily into British Columbia is brushing through this morning. It's been giving us a little bit of light rain out along the coast, but over the interior, just a few scattered showers around it. Those are even diminishing right now. We should see some mixture of sunshine and clouds as we head towards later on today. This is just to give us a chance to catch our breaths before we get into stormy weather tomorrow and on through the weekend. Looking out this morning, looking pretty calm there. From our Everett Tower Cam, starting to see some bright spots in the overcast, and should see some sun breaks getting through there a little bit later on, and not looking too different in Tacoma. Thing that really is different today is we've had no fog thanks to the cloud cover overnight. Really helps to limit any fog formation. Out on the coast there, Westport, still pretty cloudy out there, but they did see a period of time where they did have some steady light rain for a little while, but that's pretty much over with. But they won't see a whole lot of sunshine out there. First alert 7-day forecast does show we're going to be moving into that stormy weather as an atmospheric river aims at us as we head into Friday and the weekend, sending a series of storm systems through here that are going to keep us wet and blustery into the weekend and lower snow levels by the end of it. If we take a look at the satellite image, you can see the little weak system today. It doesn't even really show up very well. That's moving up into British Columbia. This is that atmospheric river. You can see it extends way back out here into the Pacific, out past the Aleutians. In fact, if we spin around the globe, you can see that moisture trail goes all the way back, and farther to the south, it goes all the way down to southern Japan. So we've got this connection to the subtropics, which is bringing all this moisture up, and we see those storm systems are warm and cold fronts and such kind of ripple along this and bring that moisture into the Pacific Northwest, and that's what we're going to be looking at happening, a series of those over the course of the next several days and into the beginning of the week. Looking out in terms of our first alert weather days, Friday through Sunday, Friday and Saturday, because of rain heavy at times and some gusty winds out there. And of course, we've been saying there's a lot of leaves on the trees, and we haven't really seen much wind to take out some of the new growth. So we'll see some limbs coming down. Combination of that, we'll probably have some clogged city drains, and we'll probably also see maybe some spotty power outages as the limbs come down and places that you don't want them to hit, like power lines. And then as we head into Sunday, even though the rain's going to be continuing the lowlands, it won't be as heavy, and we won't have the wind with that, it doesn't look like. But we will see mountain snow with those snow levels coming all the way down to Snoqualmie Pass. So basically, all the highway passes are going to be looking at some snow accumulations on Sunday. We take a look at the computer model. You can see the system today kind of washing out, and then the next system, the one that's going to be giving us all the rain on Friday, probably moves in during the morning commute on Friday. That does start to move out of here as we head towards Friday evening. We get a little bit of a break into early Saturday before the next system moves in during the morning on Saturday. It's going to be really wet for that Husky game out there at Husky Stadium at 12:30 on Saturday afternoon with rain and wind. Not that they're not used to that, but it's been pretty nice so far this fall for those Husky games. And as we continue on into Sunday, we continue to see these impulses move up through the area and kind of soak things down all the way until we get into later on Monday, and then we should see a little bit of a break as we head into Tuesday before another system moves in for midweek. Take a look at our forecast then for today. We're going to be looking for just a couple of showers around with those sun breaks out there. The showers are pretty much actually wrapped up at this point. We're looking for tomorrow to be rain heavy at times and those gusty winds. We'll see a little bit of a break Friday night into early Saturday. The rain and wind moves back in again. We'll get some very strong winds as we head towards Saturday evening. Those should be the strongest of the weekend, probably gusting 25 to 35 miles per hour, maybe some to 40, especially in the northern counties. And then as we head into Sunday, that rain will continue, but again without the wind, and it won't be quite as heavy, but we'll be getting that snow up in the mountains. Could see anywhere from about 3 to 6 inches of snow for Stevens and Snoqualmie passes by the end of the day. Showers continue into Monday without much in the way of accumulation. accumulations at that point. And then increasing rain again Tuesday, rain at times Wednesday. Snow levels will go back up to about 6,000 feet Tuesday and drop back down to about 4,500 feet on Wednesday.
We're almost a week away from Halloween, but Point Defiant Zoo in Washington, they're already enjoying their pumpkins. This is polar bear Lerky taking a swim with hers. You see that there. She's enjoying it. She's probably cooling off, enjoying that cold water, and then just enjoying it all to herself. So cute. You see that there. Hasn't ripped it apart just yet. I'm sure she had plenty of time to do that. Then the Gibbon brothers, Aries and Orion, dove into some pumpkin treats as well. Look at them go. Just checking it out, seeing what's in there, maybe some additional treats deep within that pumpkin. You see, not even distracted by all the people. Look at them go. And rescued sea otters, Libby, Clara, and Moea enjoyed seafood pops in krill-flavored candy corn. Takes a whole new level of candy corn. If you're not a fan, then they are, of the krill flavored. Look at them, just breaking it up. It looks like, is that a candy corn there? Oh, they're so cute. Oh my goodness. And a beaver family went bobbing for baby pumpkins. Butternut, walnut, and nutmeg got their Halloween treats, and this is all a part of the zoo's event, Zoo Boo. Look at them. Or those are baby pumpkins in their little hands. You see that there. They're biting right into it and enjoying a little Dunkaroo. Can't believe we're only, 8 days away from Halloween. And something similar happened across the country in West Virginia. Therapy dogs dressed in cute little Halloween costumes visited young patients, families, and staff in Charleston Area Medical Center. Hospital staff say these seasonal visits aren't just fun, they're a way to lift spirits and bring the community together. And just the start to kick off the holiday season. So I'm sure they're going to be there plenty of times in the coming months. Still ahead, the latest drought monitor report is out. I'll break it all down for you, and I'll tell you if we've seen any improvement over the last couple of weeks. And plus, we'll stay in the Pacific Northwest for your forecast in Boise and Spokane. Good news for the West. Heavy early season rain and snow are putting a dent in the region's drought. As of this morning, we have the latest drought update, and California's been the big winner. Central and southern portions of the state just had a wet stretch of weather, and that moisture is making a big difference. And this week's drought monitor shows improvements across California, Utah, Arizona, Oregon, and Washington. The area experiencing drought dropped from 80% to 74% of the western region. There is a trouble spot, though. North central Idaho remains in an exceptional drought, the worst category. And I'm going to break it down for you state by state. Here you go for our regions. You see California, 43% of the state no longer in an official drought or even considered abnormally dry. Meanwhile, in Arizona, still about 30% of the state considered in that D3, which is extreme. It goes from D0 to D4. Exceptional is that 4. So you see, not seeing anything in that exceptional category. Meanwhile, in Colorado, doing okay. Denver's still abnormally dry, just a little bit of a sliver. Let's take you to Oregon, doing all right. In fact, 44% of the state not considered dry or in a drought. Washington, some minor improvements, still 54% of the state considered in that severe drought. And then I mentioned Idaho, 4% of the state in that exceptional drought. So still expecting some of those drought conditions to continue, but all in all, this is an encouraging sign heading into winter when the West typically gets most of its precipitation. We'll see with this incoming rain if it will help in the coming weeks as well. And speaking of Idaho, southwestern Idaho, you saw, is the only region in the state not considered abnormally dry or in a drought. And rain is set to move in over the weekend. Boise's Hector Mendoza tells us what we can expect.
Well, take a look at this view here Dallas posted this on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page, just cruising through the city. You could see those beautiful, beautiful colors on those trees, and it was a spectacular day yesterday. Temperatures were pretty warm into the low 60s, but that's going to continue here at least in through Friday before we see a lot more changes coming along here for the weekend. And for that reason, we have first alert weather conditions there for Saturday and Sunday. These are going to be the impacts that we're going to be paying attention to and what we're looking forward to in terms of some of those conditions. So again, widespread precipitation, that's going to mean valley rain and mountain snow. Those snow levels will start to drop from 7,000 to 8,000 feet down to about 4,000 to 5,000 feet as we head closer in through Sunday. Now, as we look on ahead in through Monday, we are going to see much cooler temperatures to the Magic Valley. We're also going to see that precipitation stick around there through Monday, a lot more through the Magic Valley as that system continues off into the east. So that is why we have a chance to see a skiff of valley snow in some of those Magic Valley areas. Again, it'll all be dependent on the amount of precipitation that does stick around and how cool those temperatures get to see if we can see a little bit of those snowflakes in some of those areas there. But the biggest thing is going to be those chilly temperatures and those breezy conditions that we'll see start to pick up through Saturday and Sunday afternoon. And this is what you're going to need here: jacket, umbrellas, a boot, some boots there that could be handy there to keep warm and to protect from some of that wet weather that we're expecting to see. Now, if you are heading towards some of those mountain spots, planning for winter driving conditions is going to be very important, as things could get dicey as you're heading up to some of those places that could see some of that snow. And being weather aware is going to be important as well. So keep up to date with some of the conditions as we're getting closer into the weekend. So as we look on to some of the setup that we're seeing for today, this is what we're going to be seeing. Warmer temperatures today, tomorrow, but it's this system, again, that we're paying attention to that's going to tap into this plume of moisture here. So this atmospheric river is going to start to shift on over in through our neck of the woods and start to pump that in. And that's when we're going to start to see a little bit more of those showers. And again, that's all coming through with that system that comes in. We have cooler air coming along with this cold front that comes in Saturday, and another push comes in as we see even colder air coming on Sunday. So we're going to fast forward through this future cast. We're going to start off with some of those clouds early on there through Friday, and then after that, as we get towards Saturday, that's when we see that precipitation come along. So we see that rain there through the valleys, a little bit more of that snow coming through in through Saturday morning, and that's just going to continue. But as those snow levels start to drop, we expect a lot more to come down as we head on closer in through Sunday. We'll see on and off showers through many of those areas there through the Treasure Valley and Magic Valley, and these are some of the totals that we are anticipating here as we look on forward. Again, some of these numbers are potential precipitation numbers. So again, we're going to see a little bit more of that starting to come along through places there through the mountains. And that's total precipitation. So that includes the rain and a little bit of that snow that's going to start to fall in some of those spots, as we could get a couple of inches of snow and a little bit more of that in some of the higher elevations. So that's something that we are paying attention to. So as we move on forward and see some of the conditions here through Twin Falls, first alert weather conditions don't come along till Sunday and into Monday. And as we look at some of the conditions here for the 7-day forecast in Boise, a lot more of that comes in for Saturday and into Sunday.
Meanwhile, in eastern Washington, you can guess that rain and mountain snow will impact the region as well. Spokane's Thomas Patrick breaks it all down for us in today's forecast.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington, enjoying another pleasant late October day around the inland Northwest. We start with a picture over Silver Mountain, and you see a little extra cloud cover right now. Compared to yesterday, that's going to be the biggest difference. No rain just yet, no big cool down, maybe just shaves a couple extra degrees off our high temperatures today. So we'll call it a little cloudier, but no impact really. Not until we get to Friday night and the weekend, when we do get that next big storm system that'll hit the Pacific Northwest. So the cloud cover is already streaming into eastern Washington. Most of it, though, mid to high level cloud cover, and no rain is going to be falling out of that. But the storm itself and this huge cold front will take a day and a half to reach Spokane. Yes, some showers may be possible earlier out on the west side, but we get to enjoy 2 more warmer afternoons before those temperatures start to tumble, and before we get rainfall from that same storm. So today I forecast 58 degrees for the high in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. Should be close to 60 degrees on the Palouse and central Washington this afternoon. Still running about 4 degrees above average. So mild for late October, But we know that that cold front is going to knock this down in a big way. So let's jump into that. We use Future Tracker, our computer model simulation of where and when that rain is going to occur. And I'm going to start this at noon on Friday, and I'm already gliding towards central Washington and the Cascades, where the rain starts in earnest earlier in the day on Friday, but not in Spokane. So another warm and pleasant October day, dry at first for those outdoor plans, but you'll want to pack it up before 8 p.m. At that point, now the rain and now that cold front is on top of eastern Washington. This is likely our first bout of rain. That's right, just the first bout of rain for the rest of the weekend. Now on Saturday, scattered showers likely, though there is an embedded smaller storm that's going to come rushing in its wake. Basically, that cold front just opens the door for the moisture overall, and a storm system says, thank you very much. I will go ahead and bring some more rain to the region. Some of this looks particularly heavy as well. So for Spokane, we are likely going to get most of our rain midday Saturday. Now, the exact moment might shift a little bit earlier or later. Our modeling has that close to 2 p.m. Saturday afternoon. It'll be wet at that moment, and then it's just more scattered showers Saturday night, more scattered showers Sunday, could even continue into Monday. Though the bulk of the rain is either Friday night and then again on Saturday afternoon or the midday hours. In total, looking at about a ½ inch of rain in total for Spokane and around the entirety of the inland Northwest. Obviously a lot less compared to our friends out on the west side. So those rain chances really pick up in a big way starting Friday night. And then Saturday is the most likely day for rain and probably ends up being the most rain overall. Notice how temperatures will drop from about 60 degrees for the work week into the 50s and even upper 40s through the weekend.
And coming up after the break, researchers from Oregon State University's Big Fish Lab are taking an interest in Washington's Willapa Bay, what their study entails that has them tagging and tracking sharks. Researchers, words are hard, in the Pacific Northwest are trying to figure out why one particular spot along the southwestern Washington area is so popular with sharks. Portland's Joe Ranieri tags along with the researchers who are working to unravel the appeal of this corner of our coast.
There are only 2 bays on the West Coast that are home to dozens of species of sharks. San Francisco Bay in California and Willapa Bay along the southwest Washington coast.
So we have 7 gills, like the one we have here, Pacific spiny dogfish, brown smoothhounds, which are another small sort of shark.
On this trip,
so this is a 7-gill male, right?
Yep.
Do you know how much it weighs yet, or?
So no, this animal probably weighs about 100, maybe 125 pounds. Cool.
Oregon State University's Big Fish Lab team caught 2 broad-nosed 7-gill sharks.
And we're focused on the movements, the behaviors, and the reproductive physiology of large predators, mostly in our oceans, so things like sharks and tunas and billfish.
What they want to find out,
it really supports a good number of sharks, which is, we're still trying to figure out why that is, and whether that's the freshwater influence that comes in, whether it's all the other prey species that move in seasonally. We're still trying to understand that.
Is why these sharks are calling this bay home.
The sharks aren't hurt when they're pulled out of the water. Once on the boat, researchers tag them.
Tagging is probably the easiest part, giving researchers an idea about where the sharks are going and where they have been.
And that is salmon.
To determine what these sharks are feasting on.
Hungry?
What was in the shark's stomach?
That was what was in the shark's stomach. So we collected that using a lavage technique.
That's a special technique that Jessica Schulte uses to see what these sharks are consuming.
We're basically using water to fill up the stomach, and then we use gravity to bring it all out again.
What they find?
I'll take this back to the lab and I'll actually weigh it, and then I'll look at that relative to where we found the shark, how big the shark was, what sex the shark was, and look into whether different size animals are eating different types of prey.
Gives them a better picture of what it is that's bringing them back.
There's a lot of algae and plankton in this bay, so seasonally we'll get big influxes of anchovies. So you'll have schools of anchovies that are, a few football fields across.
Season after season.
Having sharks in ecosystems is a really good thing to have, and having an abundant number of sharks is something to be very excited about.
For Environment Northwest, I'm meteorologist Joe Ranieri.
Stick with us because we have a lot more to cover on today's Weather Out West. We'll have forecasts from Denver and Phoenix coming up. We want to thank you so much for sticking with us here on Weather Out West, and we'll have more forecasts and stories for you in this back half hour. But first, a weather and climate disaster database the Trump administration retired has been given new life by a nonprofit. The database tracks extreme weather disasters that cost $1 billion or more in property and infrastructure damage. It was once hosted by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, but it was discontinued after Administrator Adam Smith retired early, and his retirement was part of the Trump administration's effort to reduce federal bureaucracy. Now, the climate research nonprofit, Climate Central, has hired him to rebuild and host the database there. In its first update, the database reports there was $101 billion in damages the first 6 months of 2025, and that is the most expensive start to any year since 1980. And after searching for 60 years, the Denver Museum of Nature and Science has found its taxidermy bison. The 650-pound stuffed bison was part of the museum's founding collection and one of 5 historically important pieces. It came from the remaining population of wild bison in Colorado. A tip from Rebecca Jacobs, collections manager at the Buffalo Bill Museum, led them to it. Jacobs never really knew why they had a bison mount in the gift shop, but connected the dots when a former employee of the Denver Museum mentioned they were missing one. No one knows how the bison wandered into the gift shop, but the Denver Museum is just glad to have it back.
That's part of its experience and its journey, so it's a really great story to get it back here. They're in amazing shape for being around 150 years old.
I'm sure they are very happy to have that guy back. All right, staying in Colorado, a weak storm system is going to bring scattered showers and mountain snow to portions of Colorado, but a more impactful system may arrive Sunday and into Monday. Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle have all of the details, plus what Halloween may look like in Denver.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. After a windy start to the week, we have enjoyed some of fall's finest. Sunshine, temperatures in the 70s for late October. A little bit unusual, still waiting for our first snowfall of the season in Denver. But this upper level low to the south of us might bring some mountain snow to areas and resorts that are trying to make snow and get that season going. So high clouds will be streaming into our state today. It's a warm storm, not a lot of moisture, kind of moisture starved, but enough that we could see a rain snow mix way up high and about a 20 to 30% chance of showers here in Denver. Then as the low slides south of us into central Texas, it becomes a big weather maker with a big impact from Dallas down to Houston as heavy rain is forecast in the next 72 hours. For us, scattered welcome showers across western and southwestern Colorado, an area that's been hit hard by extreme drought for the last year. We get a push of moisture here in Denver, but not till late in the day. It will be in the form of rain and the showers will be short-lived, but in the foothills, there could be accumulating snow in the mountains as well. But first, let's focus on the rain. The water with this southwest low is tremendous, again, in an area of our state that's just seen extreme drought. The snow, even with several inches coming in to the central and southern mountains, no advisories for snow or travel yet, but folks should be prepared in Colorado for travel. We had a little bit of snow on Monday morning and it shut down I-70 because people weren't paying attention to the forecast. So hopefully they are now. We start in the mid 30s this morning, warm to the upper 60s today, 20% chance of showers, a nice day Friday, a warmer day Saturday. The Broncos take on the Cowboys, kickoff temperature in the mid 60s Sunday. We put a potential weather impact in for Monday because of the chance for maybe a rain snow mix as low as the Front Range foothills. So we'll have much more on that. But other than that, a beautiful week of fall weather in Colorado.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. This Thursday, October 23rd, we're seeing partly to mostly cloudy skies and temperatures still slightly above average. Typically this time of the year, we see a high of 62. The record was 84, set back in 2003. This afternoon, highs near 70 degrees. We will be seeing skies gradually clear and slightly cooler temperatures for Friday. A high of 64 expected out at Denver International Airport. And tomorrow, we will officially be 1 week away from Halloween. And we want to look ahead to the holiday. We typically see an average high of 57 with lows falling below freezing at 31 degrees. The chance of snow on the ground, 12%. We are not looking at the chance for snow on the ground here this year. This October 31st of 2025, we are leaning mild and dry. We do have a slightly chillier weather pattern set to arrive early next week. We have relatively high confidence in the weather department that we will be seeing some temperatures in the 50s and 60s and not really looking at the chance for snowfall here just yet over the Denver area. Could see some flakes flying early on Monday, but for the most part, it's looking pretty dry and slightly cooler, though. Our 6 to 10 day outlook here across the state. For today, tomorrow, above average temperatures heading into the weekend. But as of right now, of course, things can change. But your Halloween trick-or-treating forecast, mostly clear skies, cool temperatures will top out in the mid 50s to low 60s for the afternoon. And for any trick-or-treaters out there, definitely a cool evening with overnight lows falling to the 30s, but 45 degrees by 9 p.m. So we are bracing for our next system. It is set to bring us some colder air and a better chance for mountain snow. It looks like as we go through our 7-day forecast into Monday, but our 7-day for today and tomorrow highs in the 60s. Chance for a few light showers this afternoon. Saturday is looking great. We also have the Broadway Halloween parade happening. A lot going on all across town. It's going to be nice weather this weekend. Sunday, though, the winds pick up. Gusty winds will remain for the day on Monday here across the state. Mountain snow we're tracking, but Tuesday and Wednesday temperatures just around average in the upper 50s expected for both afternoons.
And it's going to be a beautiful autumn day in Phoenix, even into the weekend for any fall or Halloween festivities. If you're enjoying the cooler than normal temperatures, enjoy it because temperatures are gradually going up in the coming days. Here's Ginger Jeffries with much more.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west across Arizona, where we have talked about rain more than sun, it seems like lately. Yesterday, we saw all sorts of rain clouds and just gave us some tremendous views from our 12 News weather watchers. This one, Michelle and Prescott sending me in. Yep, I love it. Over the horizon, just enough to keep us on the cooler side and even bring in some measurable rainfall. I know, not mighty rainfall totals by any stretch of the imagination, but anytime the desert gets a little drop in the bucket, we'll take it. Prescott came down with 8/100ths of an inch of rain. Scottsdale 1/100ths, and just about trace amounts yesterday in Sky Harbor. Today, we are turning the page on that weather pattern. We still may see a little bit of drizzly conditions right around the state line. Otherwise, the rest of us looking for nice clear skies. Now, higher elevations will contend with some wind. We've got this area of low pressure basically brushing through to the northern part of the state, and that's going to draw down the temperatures. So yesterday, we peaked at 92 degrees in Phoenix. Today, we're going for a high of about 85. Here's that area of low pressure. And as you can see, the wind vectors really tightening up overhead. That's an indication that we're going to kind of transition from one weather pattern into another. And you can still see we've got a little bit of moisture huddled right around the four corners. But as this low pushes on through, we'll get some wind today. And then the next weather pattern is coming our direction. And oh boy, we know this guy, right? High pressure. Anytime I talk about high pressure, that means we're going to have nice clear skies, and high pressure also equates to high temps. So as we now go forward beyond the next 5 to 7 days, the trend of the forecast shows temperatures are going to be a little on the higher side. And because of high pressure, we're not going to get any of that moisture. So we're going to be warm, sunny, and dry. As you can see, 6 to 10 day outlook. Doesn't look like we're going to be picking up any rain, but The good news is for us, slightly above normal as far as temperature, it means we're not looking for triple digits, but we will have a brush with the 90s by the early part of next week. Now, as far as the winds today, you can see we don't have any wind advisory overhead, but we will start to see some of those winds accelerate up to about 25, possibly even 30 miles an hour. And then the wind is going to lay down overnight, just keeping our skies nice and clear, but not that bad as far as the gusts go. So we'll call it sunny and mild on this Thursday as daytime highs hit about 85 degrees. Where are we typically? 87. So 5 degrees either way within that is considered normal. Not bad, right? And thankfully, we're not even worried about those triple digits anymore. Instead, we're really focused on the clear and cool conditions overnight as we drop down to about 63 degrees. Now, tomorrow, you'll notice that trend I mentioned, courtesy of high pressure, starting to settle in a little bit. Yeah, our daytime highs are climbing. We don't have any of that drizzle up around state line. The winds are calm. And yeah, temperature-wise, we're going to be on par for exactly where we're supposed to be. Flagstaff, that means upper 50s for you today, low 60s by the weekend. Next week, you're bouncing around. There is an outside chance we could get some drizzle. I'll keep you posted on that next week. Otherwise, for the valley, we are cruising in the mid 80s, tucked just below the normal range through Saturday. And then high pressure's working its magic. And as a result, your temperatures start to climb. We are back to the 90s by Tuesday.
Thanks, Ginger. Coming up after the break, we'll have forecasts from Sacramento and San Diego. Welcome back. So before the break, we told you about 14ers. Well, no other state in the U.S. has more 14ers than Colorado, and those are mountains with an elevation of at least 14,000 feet. But what if one of the 14ers isn't quite what it seemed? A scientist from Washington recently went to Colorado to solve what he knew was a mystery. Denver's Chris Vanderveen has his findings.
So this is Crestone Peak. Sits in the Sangre de Cristo, 7th highest spot in Colorado, or so we all thought.
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
This guy's name, Eric Gilbertson. He's smart, like studied engineering at MIT smart. A few weeks ago, he came to Colorado with some fancy equipment.
It's kind of like a GPS on your phone, but way more accurate.
He and some other really smart guys hiked up with that fancy equipment, took this route, in fact, to see just how tall Crestone Peak's peak really is.
These are devices like construction crews will use, like surveying roads. And I'm just bringing them up mountains to survey mountains with really high accuracy.
For a long time, the state and others have assumed this was the highest point, something known as LiDAR data assisted in that assumption.
LiDAR works by an airplane flying over the mountain. And the airplane knows really accurately where it is, and it bounces a light beam off the mountain.
But LiDAR samples a point here and then a point there every few feet or so. Works fine if the peak is somewhat level, not as fine if the peak is more sharp. Here's where we're going to get even more nerdy. Crestone Peak has a sub-peak over here, about 400 feet away, known ingeniously as East Crestone. When Gilbertson broke out the fancy equipment on both, he found something surprising.
Yeah, I found that East Crestone is 0.3 feet taller than Crestone. So what that means is only one of them would count as a ranked 14er.
0.3 feet, 4 inches, enough to make East Crestone the peak and Crestone Peak the sub-peak. Get it? Good. Gilbertson has done this sort of stuff all over the world. For a long time, Saudi Arabia assumed this mountain was its tallest spot.
Discovered, well, this mountain, Jabal Farwa, that no one had ever heard of, is actually the tallest in the country, taller than Jabal Sada.
He's now 177 peaks into this, helped figure out that Mount Rainier in Washington is actually 22 feet shorter now than it was in the 90s due to melting ice. And Mount St. Helens is losing 3 inches a year on its top due to erosion. If climbers climb a mountain because it's there, Gilbertson does this because he wants to know where there really is.
So kind of like engineering, science, and mountaineering. They're all kind of my interests, and they all kind of intersect like on these problems.
As for Crestone's new peak, don't worry if you've been doing it wrong. Just keep it in mind the next time, he'll say, with the kind of candor you'd expect from a really smart engineer.
I mean, personally, I want to climb every 14er with as accurate of information as possible.
This is accurate, like 99% accurate, he says. I think I'm going to trust him. Chris Vanderveen, King 5 News.
We want to thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.